In this session of the EDI, we will discuss how to set up and maintain partner records. Once you are signed into the EDI, go to File menu, then select Partner Setup. AriaEDI supports various types of partners like customer, factor, vendor, or network. Customer is the most commonly used trading partner type, so I'll select this here. To start adding a partner record for your customer, either type in the 5-digit customer code or you can select from the browse list. I'll choose to select the customer from the browse list. Using the incremental search, just type the 5-digit account code to locate your customer. Please note that this list comes from the Aria XP customer master list. So you just need to locate the customer that you need to set up a partner for. Once you locate your customer record, choose Add to start adding the partner setup and link it to that customer. First, you have to select a mapping set that will support this trading partner. AriaEDI comes with the major standard EDI trading partner mappings. However, if you want an updated list, you can visit our website at www.ariany.com. The screen is divided into three major tabs: EDI document setup, trading partner setup, and shipping labels. I'll start here to discuss the EDI document setup tab. First, we have to select a network that this partner will use to send and receive incoming and outgoing EDI files. I'll select here the GXS service network, the one we set up in the previous session. Remit is the payment remittance number that's used by your partner to pay your invoice. So type in here the payment remittance number that will be transmitted on the invoice 810 document on the N1 RE segment. FOB is the shipping terms code that will be represented on the ASN 856 document in the FOB segment. We can use one of the standard VIX code available like CC collect, CF for collect freight credited to customer, DF defined by buyer or seller, etc. as represented on the list. Now we will set up the communication ID used by your company to send and receive EDI document with your partner. This is commonly called sender-receiver ID that will be represented in the ISA and the GS segment. Here we will select a qualifier for the communication ID. We can choose either 12 for phone number ID, 01 for DUNS number, 08 for communication ID, or ZZ for mutually defined IDs. I'll select here 01 for DUNS number ID. Now we have to type in the communication ID that will be transmitted on the ISA segment and the GS segment. You will notice that the company ID for the ISA segment is copied to the company ID in the GS segment. However, you still can override the company ID in the GS segment if you would like to do so. Now we'll select the EDI trading document exchanged with this partner. You will notice here in the grid that Aria will list all the standard EDI documents. However, you have to check only the documents that will be traded with that partner. So we'll select here 810 invoice, 850 purchase order, and 852 product activity. Document status is set to test by default. However, when you are approved testing with your partner, you need to come back to this drop down and switch the status to production. This way the system will start exchanging this document on production mode. Version is the VIX EDI document version number like 4010, 4030, etc. It comes by default with Aria mapping set to the most current version. However, you may need to change this later if your trading partner used to have more than one active version. Partner qualifier and communication ID comes as well with Aria mapping set to the default values. However, you need to verify and change the values in this field as needed to represent the communication ID agreed with your partner to use in the GS and ISA segment. Partner ISA ID and GS ID are usually the same. However, if your partner requires or use different IDs, then you can override the value in any of these fields. Trade checkbox is checked by default, means that this document is actively exchanged with your partner. However, if the document is no longer traded, you can simply uncheck from here. Now we will move to the trading partner setup. This tab includes important parameters for AriaEDI to handle both incoming and outgoing documents. Match incoming PO price. This parameter affects how Aria will handle the 850 purchase order document. We have here either to always accept the incoming price, meaning AriaEDI will use the transmitted price, or we can select that Aria check the price per each receiving file, receiving PO, or receiving PO line. If we selected that Aria will check the incoming price, we have to have a valid price list on the style master record in Aria XP. Otherwise, we will choose always accept transmitted price. Match incoming PO terms. This parameter controls the payment term codes that will be updated on the sales order. We can either accept the transmitted terms in the raw file or use customer default term from the customer master record, or select inquire. Selecting inquire means that AriaEDI at the time of processing the 850 will ask you every time whether to use the transmitted term or to use the customer default terms from the customer master. Now we will move to the packing carton type. AriaEDI supports both pick and pack carton type or standard carton type. This parameter affects the 856 ASN document. Standard carton usually means that the same style is applied into several cartons. On the other hand, pick and pack means the same carton may include several style colors inside. Label version. Select from here the UCC label format that you want to use by default for this partner. If your partner is using different formats, you still can select the applicable format at the time of printing the UCC labels. Please keep in mind that depending on your customer requirements, you may need to change this option at the time of printing the actual UCC labels depending on the order type. Print detailed label. This parameter is optional and you need to check it only if you wish to print a detailed stub label after each UCC label. Aria comes with some detailed stub label format, so you can choose from the drop down. The detailed label is commonly called in business the carton content label, since it prints the carton content item by item. Ship in pallets parameter. This option is set to no by default. However, in some cases the partner requires the packing list and the cartons to be shipped in pallets, like Walmart, so in that case you need to switch this option to yes. If you select to ship in pallets, then you will have the ability to select the pallet label version from the drop down. Interchange standard ID is the special character represented in the ISA 11. You can select one of the special characters in the drop-down, or you can keep it as a default, which is the character U. Default order status. This parameter controls the updated EDI order status. If we choose system default, that will take the status from Aria XP system setup. Otherwise, we can select open or hold status to be the default status for the EDI orders. Selecting the hold status as a default for the EDI orders is recommended. This will allow the EDI orders to go through the approval process. Include dash in JCP stores. This parameter applies only to JCPenney trading partner. If you select yes, means that the system will include a dash after the 4-digit store number in all JCPenney outgoing transactions. Otherwise, keep this option to no. Ship to DUNS number is the store or GC DUNS number that will be sent on the invoice 810 document in the N1 ST segment. Some partners require this number to be combined with the store or GC to be transmitted on the 810 document. Receive SLN loop. This parameter affects the processing of the 850 purchase order transaction depending on how your partner sends the raw file for the 850. If you would like Aria to read the PO line information from the SLN segment, then select yes to this option. Otherwise, select no, means Aria will read the information from the PO1 segment. The SLN segment usually holds the pack component information by line item. So if you would like to verify this information against Aria, you have to select yes. Otherwise, select no, means Aria will process the item on the pack level. Sales catalog number and sales catalog version number, both numbers will be combined together on the 832 transaction in the BCT segment. They will represent your company ID on that catalog. This can be used in case if your company's communication ID will be different than your company ID on the sales catalog. Force update outgoing EDI files with incoming PO unit of measure and packing information. Use this parameter only in case if you have discrepancies between the incoming unit of measure and the unit of measure you set up in Aria. Please contact Aria support before you use this option, as this parameter will require some custom variable for the mapping. Sub-element separator. This is a special character used in the ISA 16 segment. It's by default using the greater than sign. However, you can select any other special character as needed. Send detailed acknowledgement. This parameter affects the outgoing functional acknowledgement transmitted by Aria. If you select yes, Aria will generate the FA with AK5 and AK9 segment. Otherwise, keep this option as no. Always send pre-pack component. Choose yes to this option only if you would like the ASN to include the pack component on the line item level. Otherwise, select no, so the ASN will be generated only with the pack header. Receive PO lines based on. This parameter affects how Aria will process the incoming POs. Selecting UPC only means Aria will validate only the UPC as the cross-reference to process the PO lines. If you select UPC/SKU, that means that Aria will validate both numbers, the UPC and the SKU. You have to have both numbers valid before a PO line is processed. Select SKU only if you would like to validate only the customer SKU as the cross-reference. Select SKU/UPC if you would like Aria to validate both numbers, starting with the SKU first, then the UPC. Both numbers have to be valid before a PO line is processed. In any of these cases, and based on the cross-reference number used to process the PO, Aria will generate an error report if any of the cross-reference, the UPC or the SKU, are invalid. Security information ISA04. This field will represent a password to be transmitted in the ISA04 element. It can be used as a batch processing password with the 832 transaction. Now we are done with all the trading partner setup. We'll take a look now at the shipping labels. This tab does not require any data entry from your side. However, it just keeps track of the existing label formats along with the revision number and the guidelines issuance date. Finally, after you are done, click the Save Modifications button on the toolbar and your partner record will be created.